My name's James. I am the manager of multimedia design, and I work for Del Taco. All right, I'm going to start off with a little bit of e-learning folks here. That some individuals here for you. These fine individuals did all this e-learning before e-learning was actually really a thing. You know, Mr. Rogers. I grew up watching Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. After school, before school, in kindergarten. It was the greatest show ever. Reading Rainbow with LeVar Burton. Learning how to paint on TV with Bob Ross. That was amazing. These guys all did this remotely, just like we all want to do at the end with e-learning. So a lot of our training is going to be based on e-learning and getting it all together with you all learning people remotely. So let's before we get started too far in the path, let's get started. We'll do a little bit of some agreements here for y'all. So I mainly work in a restaurant. I work for a restaurant company, and for my career, that's all I've ever done is work in a restaurant. So my ideas are very much restaurant based. However, they do quite well go to the other side and working with all our hotel folks. So let's what I'm presenting here, it's not going to work for everybody, but there'll be some great ideas for everyone to take back to your training teams. We agree, like many of you, I'm a one-person show for this process. At my company, I'm the one and only who does a lot of the creation from content all the way through e-learning. So that's all through me and what I do. Some of us have the luxury of having teams, and some of us don't, and some of us have small teams. But at the end of the day, we're all in this together. We're all going to learn something about this process. And last but not least, I don't claim to be an expert in everything training, but I really like and I really love what I do, and making all the content and making all the e-learning courses this is what I do. All right, so let's get started with moving on to the three simple steps for creating an e-learning course and moving forward with this. So we'll start with the first step. It's about gathering the information and how important it is for you or your organization to get your course. So once you gather your information, you're going to go back and you're going to design, you're going to do the production, you're going to create any necessary training assets. These training assets do have an important role in moving into your e-learning course. So when you do make your e-learning course, you're going to rely quite heavily on some of these training assets and move forward with getting this e-learning course and creating your e-learning course. So when we collect information, we go through, and way back when in grade school, I remember Mrs. Michaels, my third grade teacher, taught us the 5 W's and the H: the who, what, where, when, why, and how. And that's how we learned how to write newspaper articles for the school newspaper way back when in the day. So we dive into a little bit of why the information that you're collecting is important. So let's talk about the who. So who is this important? Who is the information you're collecting important to? Is it important to yourself?
Thank you.
Is it important to yourself? Is it important to your end user? Where is this information going to? When is this information important? Is it important every day? Is it more along the lines of when is it important for the future? Are we moving to a new promo? Or are we refreshing a brand? Or more along the lines of, now we move on to the what. What is the information that we're getting? What are we going to use it for? Is it a better way to refresh the room, to change the sheets, to make a better taco? What is that? What is all this related to? Finally, let's move on to the where. Where is this information going to take place? Is it going to be more on the restaurant side? Is it going to be in the support center? Does it pertain to the hospitality, the room? More along the lines of the why. Why are we doing this? Is it a new brand? Is it a new promo? Why is this going to be important to you? Why is this going to be important? And finally, the how. How is this information that you're collecting? How is it going to be redisseminated and put out to everybody? So at the end of the day, after you gather all this information, it might be important to you because that's what you're heavily focused on. So it could be heavily focused on, making sure that it's the appropriate amount for food cost, or trying to figure out RevPAR. That is kind of those things that, yeah, it's important, but at the end of the day, is it going to be useful to the end user? And this is where you have to sit there and kind of filter through the information and make it useful. Because if it's not going to be useful to the end user in the field, at the field level, or we call it field level, at the end, there's no reason for you to put it in an e-learning course, and there's not a whole lot of reason why you're going to train and create an asset around it if it's not going to be useful. So some of these things that you can use to make that information important and figure out if it's useful is experiences. We all have great personal experiences from dealing with guests, whether it's at a table, whether that's a tableside, dealing with them in the front desk, dealing with them even when you go out to eat. You have those experiences. You have those experiences that lend credence to what you're trying to figure out if it's useful or not. We call them SMEs. It's short for subject matter experts. They have vast experience and vast knowledge in whatever it happens to be, whether it's accounting and you're trying to figure out, again, that term RevPAR, the revenue per guest for each of that, or food cost. I was a general manager of a restaurant at one point. I know exactly how to get the food cost. But is some of my knowledge going to be useful to the end users? Maybe, maybe not. You have your colleagues. You always have your colleagues to rely on too, because they like before, they have your different set of experiences. They have different sets of knowledge. They've learned, like Bob said, they learn from all different types of people with all different experiences. So their knowledge added with your knowledge can be totally helpful in creating all this. And finally, at the restaurant level, we rarely put anything out without testing it first. We extensively test everything here. And those results drive a lot of those things that we look for at the very end, what we call the watch fors. Like, hey, we need to get to, well, we'll cover a little bit more about that later, but those test results are absolutely critical to making sure that we get the right results and what the guest is looking for at the end of the day. So some of the things that we do when we do handoffs. So now that you gathered all this information from R&D, you gathered all this information and you have it all in your pocket, you're going to go through, we at the restaurants, we have a research and development team who creates recipes and helps figure out some of the watch fors that we have in developing the latest taco or the latest burrito. So they develop the recipes, we go through and we take a look at that. Pairing up with the R&D team is the operations team. We have some members of our operation team who take some of those recipes and those watch fors from research and development, and they go through and they test and they figure out exactly what the recipe is gonna be to make it operationally sound. They go through and they look for, hey, let's put the chicken on the line here because this is the way it's gonna work. So some of those things that we have to take to an account when we do this handoff from these two individuals to the training department before we actually put the product on there. So some of the other things that we get from research and development and the operations team is the focus. There are things that we need to focus on to make sure that we execute 100% of the time at every product with making sure the rooms are set up properly. So there's always going to be a little bit of focus here that we need to look at. And last but not least, that our R&D team and our operations team, they figure out some of the best practices from going back from their personal experiences, as well as those test results. So yeah, they're going to sit there and go, yeah, that quite doesn't work right. Maybe we need to put the sauce on the French fries first, or we need to put the protein on first. So those are some of those best practices that they're going to come up with to make sure that we can have a flawless execution of whatever it happens to be. So after you get that handoff from the R&D team, you have to figure out, so you have your information, you have your little handoff, and now we're going to get into a little bit more of the nuts and bolts of creating your training assets. So yeah, we're going to do a little bit of design. You're going to design your assets, you're going to produce your assets, and then ultimately at the end of the day, you're going to create all the assets, whether it's you do it all in-house, or you have a print shop like we do who helps with the production side of it and the creation side of it to making it look pretty for us. Absolutely. We all have quite a bit to do with what goes into all of these. So when you're sitting here designing your assets and producing them, is it going to be more step by step? Is that going to be important to the field, or is it just going to be simply highlights? It can go either way. And again, it depends on what you're trying to accomplish when you going back to what you're trying to accomplish. So is it more photo-based or more video-based? Which ones is going to appeal to you, or which one's going to appeal to your end user, whether they're going to learn by looking at a photo and saying, yeah, that cheese doesn't go on those French fries quite right. Or are they going to watch someone build it? We use, so it really depends on, again, back to what we're trying to accomplish. And last but not least is, yeah, we can do assets and training. We can do training assets, but are they going to be printed training assets? Like you're going to print them and tape them to the wall, or hang them on the cook's line so the cooks can reference it quickly? Or is it going to be electronic and going to that e-learning? Or maybe it could be all 6 of them, or any combination thereof. We're good with making sure, we want to make sure that at the end of the day, the end user gets the information they need to make sure that they have 100% flawless execution. So it could be any one of these 6 or all of these 6. In my experience, I found that depending on the time of the day and the place, everybody learns with all 6 of these at some point. So yeah, we're going to create some training assets. And I picked one of my latest favorite items that our R&D team has come up with. It's honey chipotle barbecue ranch loaded fries. These things are absolutely amazing. These went through extensive testing, and we learned quite a bit through the testing and the test process on how to make these 100% flawless every single time. Okay, a little aside, the barbecue sauce and the ranch absolutely have to go on these. Absolutely have to go on these amazing French fries. And it's one of those things that, unless you've tried it before, Gabe can attest to it. These are absolutely amazing. All right, so back to the item. So the honey chipotle barbecue ranch loaded fries, there's a little bit of work that needed to be done. We needed to figure out a good way to produce what we call in our company a ring set build card. And a ring set build card for us is more of a mock-up, more of a step-by-step asset used to train new hires who've never ever worked in a restaurant before. So they have a quick reference to look at a recipe and figure out how to build this recipe. So using PowerPoint, we make a mock-up of what we think during the design process of what we want it to look like. So this is a quick mock-up of what we made and what we wanted to look like, and say, yeah, we needed to make sure that all the steps And all this information that we're going to use for this recipe is contained in one little card. This one little card is 8.5 by 5, so half a sheet of paper big. So mind you, this is a little bit weird on layout on the screen, but it does end up looking something like this. So we took that mock-up, and what we decided on is going, yeah, let's take a look at all of this and let's see if we can get this screen slimmed down to build this recipe so there's always perfect execution and everything looks exactly the same and consistent in every way, shape, or form. If you notice on this, there are some utensils and some icons. We'll cover that in just a hot second. But we've learned over the years that there's a real simplicity to build this with just simple icons and simple tools. So we used icons. We use icons instead of trying to teach a team member, a half an ounce of cheese versus a half an ounce of cheese versus a quarter ounce of cheese versus 3/4 ounce of cheese. Because at the end of the day, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna totally remember that it's supposed to be a half an ounce, but I will remember that it's gonna be 2 fingers of cheese. And we use these icons to help train our team members to say, yeah, it's 2, 2, and 2. 2 fingers of cheese, 2 fingers of lettuce, 2 fingers of tomatoes. So there's no mistaking it because it's always going to be the same, and it's a little bit easier for them to remember. We also got into putting on the appropriate utensil that they're going to use. So that way there's no confusion on saying, yeah, I need to grab the black handled one. I don't necessarily need to know what the ounces of the scoop how much bacon I get with that black handled utensil. But if you really want to know, it's a half an ounce. I don't need to know that. I just need to know that I need to use one black level scoop. And then that makes it even simpler for those new hires to get quickly to understand, to make sure that the product is executed 100% of the time. In the middle of that page, we have some callouts. So we had a few callouts because this is one of those things that we learned with our R&D and operations team when they went through some of the testing. We found out that getting consistent amounts of sauce on this product was a little bit of an opportunity, quite a bit of a challenge. There was quite a few times during test when this product was made without the appropriate amount of sauce. So going back and forth, and yeah, it took a lot of doing and a lot of testing to make sure that I'm going to get the perfect amount of sauce if I make an M shape with my honey chipotle barbecue sauce. And I'm going to get the perfect amount of sauce if I make a zigzag with my ranch. So we're going to go through. So we went through, and instead of teaching them, oh, it's going to be 1 ounce of sauce, 1 ounce of barbecue sauce, or 1 ounce of ranch, make this zigzag motion on your French fries, and it'll be just the right amount of sauce and simpler for them to learn, and simpler for our teams to learn. So yeah, that build card that you saw back there is great for those new hires to get a quick understanding of what the recipe is. However, that's not the best that's not the best training tool to use when you're in the heat, when you're in heat of lunch rush on the cook slide and you forget quickly how to make the loaded fries. So we also have something a little bit smaller for our cooks to learn that, hey, this is the build, this is how you build it, and this is the order you build it in without having to go back and forth with a giant build card. This little card is about 3 inches big. It's about the size of an index card. And it quickly shows them that there's no portions on here other than the fact that, yeah, you do clamshell, you build from the bottom to the top, and you read from top to bottom, from bottom to top. And this shows you quickly how easy it is to build this product that you're looking for. So after you've produced some of your training assets, you're going to move on to, let's take those training assets that you built and figure out why why do we need an e-learning course to go around making sure that we can get these people trained? So obviously, e-learning is very, very cost effective. It saves on labor because you get the same consistent training when you create that e-learning course. You don't have to bring people in you don't have to bring people into the office to have, you don't pay for travel costs, you don't have to pay for mileage, you don't pay for hotel rooms. Everybody can learn virtually. So that's a great cost-effective savings. Saves on printing. Saves on printing materials. Saves on the printing of materials. If there's there could be a change. There could be a change. You can quickly take that e-learning course and go, oh, you know what? We need to change. We found out that after testing, a ½ ounce of ranch isn't going to be enough. We need to change it to a 1 ounce of ranch. So we can quickly go in, change the e-learning course, change your assets, and make an adjustment on the fly without having to turn around and reprint all those materials, because it allows for you to change it. Like there's a change that happens on a Thursday late, and it happens. We all know it happens, and we all understand it happens a lot. There's a change late Thursday night. Come Friday morning, yeah, it's out on the field and ready to go. If we had to go to a regular print shop with regular printing deadlines, it wouldn't be out in the field until Monday or Tuesday. And that's three whole days of guests that are not getting the right product, and that does not do any of our brands any good. E-learning courses also allow for assessments. So you can sit there and go, you can have them take tests. We typically use the assessments of not so much as I got you and make the question super hard. It's more of along the lines of, yeah, thanks for paying attention to the course, because the e-learning course is only part of the actual training. It's only part of it. The bulk of the training comes in the shoulder to shoulder. Your team member or your employee and their manager, or their employee and their trainer working side by side, learning how to do it all. That's when a lot of this comes into effect. That's when it comes in a lot of an effect. Electronic transcripts for e-learning, absolutely. As soon as most LMSs or learning management systems allow for tracking in different parts of your e-learning course, whether it's the course was completed itself, you passed an assessment, you can have a transcript. And electronic transcripts are great for any issues that do come up, and you want to make sure that, yeah, Bob is totally trained working the front of house. He can work a register. He knows how to work a grill. Before you move him before he gets promoted to a different position, you got to make sure that, yeah, he's got all the necessary tools to be successful in moving into the next step in his career. Transcripts also play a part in saying, yeah, we can turn this e-learning course, and maybe it's a human resource e-learning course, and it's talking about harassment or talking about policy changes, and your human resources department wants to make sure that everybody in your organization gets it, and then you can turn around and use that electronic transcript to turn around and write and have the course get reassigned every other year, or every third year, or every 6 months, whatever it happens to be. But these transcripts say, yeah, Bob finished it on June 22nd. He needs to take it again in December. So no later than December 22nd, he needs to complete this. And also e-learning, a lot of our folks nowadays, learn by computers. I'm a little old school and I like to read it in a book, but a lot of our new Gen Xers, Gen Zers, Gen Ys, the millennials all learn by watching it on a computer. So this is one of those easier ways to get consistent training on a computer. So there's a little bit of work to get to an e-learning course. So yeah, we have that handoff from your subject matter expert or your SME. So let's get that, making sure that the materials that you have are perfect and ready to go for your handoff. And whether you're doing your handoff, we'll cover that. We'll cover a little bit more about the handoff in just a second here for you. After you get your handoff, you're going to go into the creation of your content of what's going to be in the course and actually creating a storyboard for your course. So you have a little bit of flow that goes on with this. And last but not least, you have the nuts and bolts of making sure that this e-learning course is going to be created and has all the necessary assets, has all the content that you just created, and you get all the information from your SME. So during the handoff process from the subject matter expert, there's a couple of things that you need to take a look for. A couple of things to consider when you're getting your handoff. Your understanding, your comfort with the process and or procedure, whether it's changing bed sheets and folding the towels properly, or making a taco, or making a new burrito. It's making sure that you understand how it works, how the entire process works. Because if you don't understand the process and how it works, there's going to be a gap. There's going to be a missed step in the middle of all this somewhere where you're not going to go, yeah, I forgot to warm up the tortilla first, or you know what, I forgot to take off the old sheets on the bed before I put the new sheets on. So you have to make sure that you totally get it and you totally understand what it's all about. So go back to your SME. Yeah, ask questions. Ask a lot of questions. Ask a lot of questions of what it is, because if you don't get it, you need to ask it. Or even better yet, get trained. So have your SME train you on the step-by-step, because that training will play a part in you creating your course and you making sure that your people, your end users, will get trained properly. So there's a little bit. So once you understand that process, you're going to go through and, let's create some content and let's create the content so your people can learn it and create the storyboards that do go with it. So there are some things that you can need to consider. Individuals in your organization who have multiple jobs or multiple roles. In our restaurant world, we have people who do things with multiple languages. And then obviously there's individuals who have lengths of service. We have individuals who started with us yesterday. And again, we have our taco bar cooks who have been with us for 20 years. So some of those things when we talk about making sure that, we're making sure that the right position is going to get the right information. So when I design our courses here, we make sure that they're looking at the right role. So if they're going to be a front of the house, if they're back of the house, whether they're going to be a team leader, a shift manager, even a general manager or a bus store leader. A bus store leader could be an area director, a district manager. It's someone who rides above, who runs multiple units. And making sure that the roles have the right sets of information for them to be successful at their job. Likewise, we offer the courses in English and Spanish. Just to it's out there. We need to make sure that the learners are comfortable in their learnings. And if they're not comfortable, they're not going to learn the material. And then and as Bob says, if they're not comfortable in the position, you damn well better believe it that they're going to be not with us very much longer. So we have to make sure that, we're going to use our native language. So absolutely. So after we figure out that, and we got to make sure that we're going to move forward and taking a look at your storyboard. Storyboard can be as simple as you using a Word document and typing out exactly what the narrator is going to say. So we can do it with this. We can say, hey, this is a good way to do it, and leave it up to and take the storyboard, kind of figure out the flow and how the course should be structured. So whether it's an introduction of some sort, moving on to moving on to a next section of, let's talk about some of our items. Or another popular way to do a storyboard is to say, yeah, let's do it on 2 columns on a Word document. And maybe your organization, you're writing the content and someone else is creating the course. For me, I do it all. I write quite a bit of the content and also create the course. So yeah, I'm more along the lines of the first method, because I personally know exactly what I want to focus on when I come to this. But if we're breaking it down and say, yeah, that's not quite going to work out. So yeah, absolutely. You as a course content creator, write the script for the narrator, and then on the side there, give the e-learning content creator a little bit of what you're looking for, because that's one of those things where you say, yeah, let's talk about crispy chicken, and I'm going to show you the new items, and we'll see what items are getting removed, and show product videos and things of that nature. But it's really, really important, so you can get to making sure that the learning in the storyboard is absolutely what you're looking for at the end of the day. Making sure that this is right, because if this is right, there's less of a turnaround time, and it's a little bit easier to get it out to the field. So after you storyboard it, you're gonna sit there and you're gonna do your creation of your e-learning course. A couple things to consider with e-learning, way different than the old paper-based training is, yeah, you can have games, you can watch videos, you can have animations, you can absolutely do assessments. You can do assessments on the spot. You can have them play a game and then take a test right afterwards. You can show them, you can do a narration and fly in a bunch of different animations of tacos or burritos. So you can take a look at this. So some of the gamification items look like this. This is one of the things that we came up with. This is a way to say, hey, let's take that recipe that we learned of one of my favorite items, the honey chipotle barbecue ranch loaded fries. And yes, that holds the record as the current record as the longest title for a longest named product on the Del Taco menu at the moment. It is a whole mouthful every single time. But this is one of those things that, yeah, so we made that training asset, we made that ring set build card, we made the little job aid for the taco bar line. But at the same time, they're going to say, yeah, let's take a look and see let's see if they can actually build one. So this is one of those things where this is what it's going to look like. It's going to look a little bit like this. So this game pops up in the middle of this e-learning of the e-learning course and says, hey, let's build this product.
Build this product by clicking on the ingredients. Correct?
So at any point in time, they can stop and go, yeah, I'm not building that right. But then they can get that built and they can go, yeah, I got that. You go, oh yeah, I got that. I can build that.
Build this.
And then we also have videos. So some people learn by watching a video and watching the actual video of somebody building it. So we take the time, and we're fortunate enough to have a test kitchen in our support center where we can build the products in-house with our R&D experts and get the right builds and end up with videos like this. So we have cool little videos that come up like this as well. And last but not least, it's those watch fors. So we're making sure that yes, you just watched a video on how to build the honey chipotle barbecue loaded fries. You just did the build course on how to do this. And then we want to make sure that we call out those watch fors. These are those opportunities that we got from way back when they tested this item, or when your SME says, you know what, it's not working right, so let's take a look and see what we got here as well. So there's a little bit of, yeah, we can do some animation. You can show in some of these parts. So animations, absolutely. It gives some visual interest, and you can focus on whatever it needs to be. And again, I picked this one because yes, it's my favorite, but we had some struggles making sure that sauce was important and getting it right. So I'm going to talk about some of the resources that I use on a regular basis. But I would love to see you all in the chat right now. If you can take a moment to share some of your resources that you use, some of the programs that you use, some of the things that you use to help create your materials in your store, in your companies at the moment right now. So some of my frequently resources, and yes, yes, this is a little bit basic, but believe it or not, the Office Suite, Word, and PowerPoint are absolutely critical for what I do and what I use it for. We used to pay a small fortune in translation costs, and over the years, Microsoft Word has gone through, and their translations have gotten so much better. So instead of paying massive amounts of money to a translator to get our e-learning courses translated into Spanish for us, we simply use Word, put it in a translator, and then send it to our native speakers in our support center to help validate that the translation is right. So we use Word for all this. Believe it or not, yeah. I make all the mock-ups of all our job aids, as well as quite a few of our team members make up all the mock-ups in PowerPoint. So the image on the left is what we use for our shakes, our Choco Day shakes. I made a PowerPoint mock-up of what I wanted to look like, and ended up looking like a little finished version on the right there for you. So yeah, it takes a little bit of doing. But it is absolutely totally easy, because PowerPoint is one of those tools now that has some really good creation tools. And yeah, if you're going to send this off to a print shop, they're totally good with looking at this and going, yeah, I got you. I can make this look pretty. Not all of us have the learnings, but I use Premiere Pro Adobe Premiere Pro when I create our training videos. So that video we just saw on the honey chipotle barbecue fries, I use Premiere Pro to create this. Yes, it does take a little bit of learning. There is a little bit of a learning curve to it, but once you get to it, yeah, absolutely, you can get in on this. Storyline 360 is what I use to make the e-learning course. There's a couple of other options out there. Adobe has their version of an e-learning creation course. It's called Captivate. I am not terribly familiar with Captivate. I'm guessing it works a whole lot like Storyline, or more along the lines of a whole lot like Premiere Pro. Storyline, for those who have not touched Storyline but have touched PowerPoint, it's like taking PowerPoint and giving it every single steroid you can possibly imagine. Storyline works very much just like PowerPoint does. There's a whole lot of similarities. The Articulate team, little backstory about Articulate. The Articulate team, when they first created the first initial version of Storyline 1, way back when in the day, about 10 or 15 years ago, they went up to Seattle to go visit the small little company called Microsoft. And they knew that Microsoft had PowerPoint and lots of people were using PowerPoint to make decks and slides and whatnot. So they copied. They copied and asked the engineers, hey, we need some help developing this product. Can we make it a little bit less, make it less hard for people to learn? And they said, absolutely. So there came Storyline. So a lot of the menus in Storyline are absolutely carbon copies of how PowerPoint works. So there's not a huge learning curve. It takes a little bit of practice, but at some point you can get to a good learning on Storyline. We also use in our organization one of the Articulate products as well, Articulate Review 360. It allows us to share the in progress or even the completed e-learning course with the operations team, and they have the opportunity to go through and comment and say, hey, there was a mistake here, or hey, you know what, I don't like the way you laid that slide out. So let's figure out a best way to do this. And yeah, so like the example here, I made a mistake on the first one and said, yeah, there's a lot of dead space at the end of that one. Maybe the timeline was a little bit long. Absolutely. The comment on bottom says, yeah, you know what, I didn't like the way that flow was. Maybe it works better if we go through and describe the sauces first. And then let's describe the sauces first and then move on to everything else. Maybe that will help the learner engage a little bit more. Absolutely. And best but not least, yeah, it's, you know, there is a little bit of cost with some of the previous ones, Premiere Pro, Storyline. There's an annual subscription cost. However, not everything I use costs money. Some of the best resources I use are absolutely 100% free. And it's just a matter of going through and taking a look and learning them. And a lot of these very, very good free resources have amazing Reddit forums or teaching forums and great tutorials online to learn about this. And yeah, Google and YouTube are they're not listed on here, but absolutely, I use Google and YouTube to learn all about even the paid products I learned, especially Premiere Pro. So one of the cool free resources I found was something called paint.net. And if you Google paint.net, they'll show up, and it's a completely free program. It's very, very similar to Adobe Photoshop without learning Photoshop. So we filmed this new burrito, this new taco on the left, and we were filming this. We took some pictures. We figured out, oh, hey, yeah, that looked great. And then when I got back to the computer to go edit, to take a look at the pictures we took, I realized that there's a little blob of taco meat in the lower corner of the before picture. And went, dang it, we missed that. Now it's not worth it. Do we need to really go set up the test kitchen again and come and pull everybody back in to do this again? Oh, not at all. Paint.net, a little bit of color match, a little bit of cloning, and then magic. The little blob of taco meat goes away, and it looks like it's a perfectly good looking taco. Likewise, we want to make sure when we're designing e-learning content, we want to make sure that the colors are consistent, because you never know that marketing puts out materials. We have marketing materials, our menu boards, our latest banners that go outside of our restaurants have unique colors to it. So Windows, there's a cool little toy called Windows Power Toys. Believe it or not, Color Picker is one of the 8, and Color Picker is the one I use a lot for making sure that, yeah, we can get the absolute right color. So I took this chart I took our chart logo and said, yeah, I want to make chart. I don't know what color it is, but I really like that blue. So let's go and little Windows color picker toy. You hover over and you get that right, what they call an RGB code or a red, green, blue code. And you can find that right color. You can make that chart logo. You can make that chart color match exactly in your e-learning courses. So you can get that consistent look through your e-learning courses. So it's actually it's going to be part of the promotion that you're going out with and saying, yeah, we can make all this look like it came from the same place instead of having different colors or basic colors. Absolutely, color picker is the way to go. There's another one of these tools is I use a screen snippet program called GreenShot. GreenShot is a one-stop shop that will let you, with a couple clicks of a push of a button and a click of a mouse, you can send a picture. And in this case, we used right off the chart website. I can send this picture. You know what? This picture is kind of cool. I'm going to send this to myself so I can use this in one of my e-learning courses. If you just happen to be watching a video or doing a presentation, you want to take a screenshot or a screen grab or something, absolutely. GreenShot will let you do this. It is quick and easy. You click exactly what you want, and in one click, you can send it. You can drop it into an email, and away it goes. So I use this for this. I use it for sending it in emails. You can it'll also take this and take that picture and drop it into your PowerPoint, or drop it into, believe it or not, paint.net. And you can use that picture and you can go right in and edit that picture right in paint.net. Again, it's two free resources back to back. We also, so e-learning is great. However, a lot of our stores struggle with having great internet connectivity. And yes, we want to use the best quality images and the highest quality images. However, high quality images come with a price, the size. So below is a picture of our loaded fries on a piece of marketing, menu, and marketing uses high resolution, super high resolution print quality imagery for all of their prints. So it looks beautiful when you print it and put it on a roof banner. However, yeah, we use the same images as well, but bandwidth and streaming and internet speed is an issue, and we want to make sure that yes, you can use the same image, but you want to optimize it. So hence the tool Riot. It's short for Radical Image Optimization Tool. A couple clicks of a button, you can take this image that was 33 megabytes big and turn it into a 2 megabyte picture without losing any picture quality. Pictures look exactly the same, and it saves you on bandwidth, and it saves you on storage space. It saves you on download time when you move to your e-learning course. Because you and I both know when you sit there and you download a picture from your friend and on your phone, and it takes blipping forever because it's 50 megabytes big, where you only need a hot look at it and go, oh yeah, I got a thumbnail of it now. So that's what this program will do. Believe it or not, in Windows 10, there's a cool little function called the Xbox Game Bar. Xbox Game Bar will let you do a screen recording and turn it around and allow you to edit it and show you exactly what it looks like. So Xbox Game Bar is what I used to record myself in the initial build game we saw earlier in the course. It's just one of those things. Unfortunately, I'm not 100% familiar if the iOS systems or the Mac systems have something in place as well, but for the sake of using it on the Windows computer, Xbox Game Bar is the way to go, and it's completely free. You can record, you can record, you can put comments, you could have all kinds of transcriptions on the bottom of it. If there's people talking, that's all available here on the Xbox game bar as well. And believe it or not, YouTube Studio. YouTube Studio has a great selection of music, and a lot of it is completely free. Because all these videos, yeah, videos are great, but videos with no audio, that's no fun. So this was a quick little video with no audio. Yeah, it's a bunch of cars, not very exciting. But however, you know, I went on YouTube Studio, did a little bit of searching, looked for a video, and came up with a little bit of music to make it happen. So you can find great free resources out there to make your e-learning courses amazing. And absolutely. Let me take a look and see if we have questions. Let's take a look. Oh wow, Pick Monkey. I've played with that one. That one's kind of neat. Any questions here for you? Go ahead and type that in or unmute yourself. No worries. We're all there for you there. Oh, thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Jeff, for the update on the Mac user part with the Xbox. All right, well, I'm available in a little bit. So we have about 45 more seconds here left to go before we're all done. But thank you very, very much for your time. And I appreciate you and taking all this. But there's my contact information. If you have any questions or if any comments, absolutely, I'd love to hear them. Please send them my way. And thank you very much.